Every enemy Shen Li killed gave him experience. So the 100,000 soldiers below looked like opportunity. Minutes earlier, forced conscripts were dying across Yuzhou's frozen wall. An arrow killed Shen Li's village brother beside him. Then Shen Li's first desperate kill raised his strength. His growing proficiency transformed every weapon he used. 10 arrows later, his weak body had become terrifying. The army, expecting easy prey, had created its own executioner. Freshly transported into some ancient Chinese body, skinny as a chopstick, freezing his butt off on a city wall while a 100,000 angry Turks tried to kill him. They were vibing, eating roasted meat, singing songs on the road. Just here's a garbage bow and 10 broken arrows. So now Shen Li was in Yuzhou City, the last wall between the Turk army and millions of civilians. Their general was sitting out there in shiny silver armor like he was posing for a magazine cover, saying he'd take this city in 3 days. Guys around him were getting turned into pin cushions left and right. His village buddy Wang Arino caught an arrow and died right next to him. Shen Li closed his eyes, pulled 3 arrows out of his body. Shen Li thought, "Oh, thank God." Then the war drum started. The Turk officers were screaming stuff like, "Storm the city." 10,000 Turks charging at once. Then their officers started chopping cowards off the wall. The Turks were packed so tight Shen Li couldn't miss if Shen Li tried. And that's when his brain went ding. Shen Li got something called Innate Archer Constitution. 5 seconds ago, Shen Li was a wet noodle. From there, full draw this time. Even he looked shocked, eyes wide open like, "Wait, since when can these guys shoot like that?" Then another notification, Experience 1 proficiency went up. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. And suddenly, they didn't look like an unstoppable army anymore. Shen Li was disgustingly overpowered, and this is going to be beautiful. The Shen Li was become death, destroyer of Turk's kind. When his right got tired, Shen Li switched back. Shen Li burned through his 10 arrows in minutes. Within moments, there were over a dozen fresh Turk corpses piled below his section of the wall. Shen Li felt muscles literally inflating on his back like someone was pumping him up with a bicycle pump. And the new perk within 50 steps. Come on, that's got to be exaggerated, right? Next arrow straight into another guy's kidney. All 3 nailed 3 different Turks right between the eyes. Shen Li literally cannot miss. Shikai was supposed to be their village's best hunter. Shen Li played it cool. 3 headshot in a row. He couldn't even lift them anymore, so he became their arrow delivery boy. Baby, the 3 of them, him shooting, Shikai shooting, Xiao fetching, turned their section of the wall into an absolute slaughterhouse. The veteran soldiers nearby were staring at them with their mouths open. From there, whose officer is that? From there, sir, he's a conscript. He watched him ambidextrously mowing down his elite soldiers like grass. From there, actual anime villain move. Up on the wall, the Turks finally got smart. From there, fine, adapt, and overcome. His knee, not the knee. The Turks below were losing their minds, waving their shields around, not knowing whether to protect their heads or their legs. Xiao immediately offered him his little hunting bow, but before Shen Li could take it, a deep voice interrupted. He handed him a military-grade, lacquered hardwood bow. From there, man, a few words, but for him now, easy as stretching a rubber band. Shen Li aimed at a Turk hiding behind his shield and let fly. Shen Li checked his stats. Every single one of you is just walking XP. Their guys looked at him and saw hope. After Shen Li got that new military bow, even their shields became useless. That's a prayer. Morale flipped completely. One random drafted dude picked up a boulder and yeeted it off the wall, flattening 2 Turks at once while screaming what Shen Li can only describe as ancient Chinese profanity. Every arrow randomly deleting a Turk from existence. These guys were built different. And suddenly his section of wall got absolutely showered with precision arrows. Shen Li ducked behind the wall. But his comrades weren't so lucky. They'd only known each other a few days, but when you're all about to die together, a few days feels like a lifetime. From there, their return fire weakened. Shen Li had to do something. From there, pop up, shoot, duck. Killing an elite archer gave him 5 experience points instead of 1. 77, 82, 92, 97. From there, 2 stone bow strength. From there, his body upgraded again. Shen Li looked at his military bow and sighed. Shen Li drew and released. The remaining Turk archers collectively decided absolutely not. Should have done that earlier. Shen Li was a one-man air defense system, but Shen Li was still just one guy, and Turks were still flooding the walls in other spots. Then a sound that made his blood freeze. A Turk master archer had taken a sneak shot at him. Shen Li fired without aiming and somehow knocked his arrow out of the air. And Shen Li just casually did it on reflex. 1 second slower, and Shen Li would have a new face piercing. Deflect, deflect, kill, deflect, kill, kill. But Shen Li was carving through their elite archers, too. Shen Li was riding high. Untouchable, unstoppable. But right behind it, a second arrow hidden in the first one's shadow. The metal tip gleaming, getting bigger and bigger. Shi Kai, his village brother. Things were getting spicy and not in a good way. Every time Shen Li popped up, dozens of arrows came flying at his face. Crouch, sprint, pop up, triple shot, duck, repeat. From there, their defenders kept dropping. It was like the world's worst trade deal, and everyone was losing. He was already aiming at him. Clang clang. Knocked both his arrows out of the sky. Shen Li picked off his shield bodyguards one by one. Well, technically Shen Li was, but his health bar is very much real. Apparently, Shen Li now had a livestock bounty. Little Xiao had picked up a sword and was standing guard over wounded Shi Kai like a tiny angry puppy protecting its owner. One more shot and he was done. The ground around him picked clean. A showdown with no ammo. Shen Li didn't have time to think about how metal that was. The arrow screamed through the air and punched clean through the master archer's chest, pinning him to the ground like a bug on a board. If that's not the hardest thing that's ever happened in a war, Shen Li don't know what is. This guy was worth 50. After that, the general's personal guards charged in for close combat. Night fell and the Turk left king had no choice but to sound the retreat. You owe him a life now, punk. Why does a ghost from blood loss, but still talking trash? He looked at his cuts, looked at Shi Kai's mummy-wrapped shoulder, and pulled out a bottle of premium wound medicine. From there, all three of them. They were basically the hillbilly special forces. How about you stay in the army officially? That's command over 12 men. Shi Kai and Xiao were vibrating with excitement behind him. Fist bump from Shi Kai and Xiao. But that requires approval from above. And you need to be a certified martial artist. Shen Li looked at the faded cover and read the title aloud. This is getting ridiculous and Shen Li was here for it. Turns out in this world, there's a massive gap between regular people and martial artists. The martial arts system has 9 levels split into 3 tiers. That's 13 points higher than his system-enhanced body. They sent regular soldiers only. But hey, at least his system recognized the booklet the moment Shen Li opened it. Except it needs 100 points just to get started. Martial arts difficulty is no joke. Shi Kai lying on his sickbed like a mummy roasted him instantly. Xiao stuck his tongue out. These are his corporals, everyone. Don't think you can cram this overnight. If they survive, you'll have time to study it properly. Yin Liang gave them the most soldier answer possible. Your families, you fight for them. Finally, no more fighting in pajamas. What happened to the one Shen Li gave you? It's just a little light. From there, Yin Yang's face was priceless. Xiao didn't really understand the measurement, but his brain did the math another way. From there, he whispered in awe. Only martial artists who channel their ki and blood can do that. Obviously, Shen Li couldn't explain the system, so Shen Li just kept a straight face. Shen Li would see what Shen Li can do. How are you this strong? 3 village boys hunched over a martial arts manual like nerds cramming for finals. The Turk army slithered out of their camps like one massive snake and lined up below the city. Today the left king ordered the city taken in 3 days. At least 1,000 of them out of their 100,000-man army. Shi Kai was still recovering in the barracks, so it was just him and Xiao on the wall. Shen Li went from skinny refugee to that dude looks like a general. Yan Liang assigned him 10 new conscripts, all from villages near Qingxi. The Turks would need therapy. Still too light for him though. But beggars can't be choosers. From there, boom, 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 boom. Yesterday Shen Li was a shivering newbie hiding behind a wall. Yan Long dumped another batch of freshly grabbed conscripts on him. Shen Li looked at them trembling and thought, buddy, that was literally him 24 hours ago. Meanwhile, Xiao, his 14-year-old, a kid built like a baby bull wearing shiny officer armor, bossing around 10 middle-aged farmers. The conscripts didn't dare disrespect Xiao, though. As long as he kept his mouth shut, you'd think he was a seasoned warrior. His 10 guys dropped like rocks. From there, the sky went dark. Xiao yelled from under his shield. Thousands of arrows hammering into stone and metal. The shields were getting so heavy from all the arrows sticking into them that the conscript's arms started giving out. Shen Li roared so loud that everyone within 50 ft jolted like they'd been electrocuted. The new conscripts without guidance. From there, the arrow rain stopped. Every shield looked like a metal hedgehog, absolutely covered in arrows. Across the entire wall, they were the only squad with 0 casualties. From there, it was something better. From there, orders are executed perfectly. Leadership jumped from 1 to 10. They just do it instantly, like trained soldiers. That's basically a cheat code for army building. 3 times harder than martial arts. His system let him inspect his squad members' stats now. From there, genius-level cavalry commander. A prodigy meant to lead horseback charges across open battlefields. But someday, when they push back against these Turks, when they take the fight to their endless deserts and grasslands, this little punk is going to be an absolute monster on horseback. The farmers froze mid-arrow collecting, and all turned to look at him like baby ducks looking at their mama. Get as many as you can, Shen Li ordered. Within minutes, neat stacks of arrows were piled up next to him like an all-you-can-shoot buffet. Still too light for him. The Turks were literally telling scary stories about him around their campfires. Flattering truly, the officers screamed for everyone to fire back. Wait, his 10 farmer soldiers froze. Everyone else was shooting, but nobody questioned him. 90 steps, 80 steps, 70. Now 10 farmers pulled their bows. But when the enemy is packed shoulder to shoulder like sardines, even a blind grandma can score kills. Turns out his soldiers' kills count toward his leadership experience. This is called delegation, baby. That kid was firing arrows like a machine gun, eyes blazing with pure combat excitement. Every few seconds, another Turk dropped. They pushed through their arrows and stones like walking through rain and slammed their ladders against the wall. His bow was only 1 stone strength, but Shen Li could pull 2 stone. Shen Li loaded 3 arrows, drew back, and fired. An entire ladder's worth of soldiers tumbled off the wall and turned into sidewalk art. 3 arrows, 1 shot, like 8 kills. His archery proficiency climbed past 392. The dude who showed up was basically a building nearly 10 feet tall wearing heavy iron armor carrying a spiked club that weighed several hundred lb. From there, the ground started shaking. Siege towers. Over 100 of them, each one as tall as their wall, covered in thick animal hide that arrows couldn't penetrate. The fact that they were using them here on Little Yanha meant they'd been hurting them badly enough to force out their big guns. Shen Li could kill guys inside, but Shen Li couldn't stop the tower itself. The first tower dropped its bridge onto their wall. There were so many packed inside those things. The entire wall turned into closed combat hell. Turk soldiers poured out. Deep-set eyes, sharp noses, steel swords, wooden shields, and the overwhelming smell of mutton hitting him in the face like a physical force. Time for a knife fight. Then one of his farmers saw a Turk up close for the first time. His farmers had literally never seen a foreigner in their entire lives. Xiao instantly took charge of the front line. And behind everyone, him with his bow, doing what Shen Li do best. From there, shields, block, spears poke. And the 5 farmers crashed into the incoming Turks. They were a full head taller than his guys and built like oxen. His front line was buckling, about to collapse. This tiny teenage psychopath smashed his shield into a Turk's face so hard the guy staggered, then followed up with his saber and dropped him. Not 1 step back. The farmers saw their baby-faced commander covered in enemy blood, still fighting like a demon, and something clicked. Probably pure shame that a kid half their age was braver than them and pushed. 5 spears thrust through the shield gaps at the stumbling Turks and missed or bounced off or poked harmlessly. Their spears had the lethality of wet noodles. His 2 neat rows got compressed into 1 messy blob. From there, the Turks smelled blood. They were going to steamroll them into paste. But it didn't stop there. Before anyone could process that, more arrows screamed past. Every single arrow threaded through the gaps between his own guys and buried itself in a Turk. The ones who'd been pressing forward so aggressively now had loose scattered formations. From there, instant PTSD from yesterday. Push them back, Shen Li commanded. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. The spear guys thrust through the gaps again. His troop command proficiency was climbing fast. 5 conscripts upgraded to basic spearmen. These farmers were leveling up iron real-time during combat. It wasn't brute strength, it was technique, and they learned it in minutes instead of months. They went from blindly poking to calculated killing in the span of one fight. Two of the shield guys reached 7. Now they were functioning soldiers who could hold a line against Turk warriors. Shen Li wasn't just a one-man army anymore. His little squad was performing beautifully. Spearmen poked from behind, and Shen Li rained arrows over everyone's heads. The rest of the defenders got overwhelmed. Turk started taking over huge sections of the wall. His squad got squeezed tighter and tighter until the guys were practically back to back. The Turk left King's bounty on his head. Had every Turk looking at him with hungry green eyes like Shen Li was a walking lottery ticket. One more push, and they'd crumble. Shen Li threw his bow on the ground. The southern dog is surrendering. Shut up, Shen Li said. Picked up a second sword. Shen Li swung them experimentally. Then Shen Li launched myself out of the formation and straight into the Turk mob with 24 body points, top-tier armor, and 2 swords. Left sword came down, split a Turk in half, top to bottom, 2 pieces like firewood. Turks fell like wheat at harvest time. From there, spin like the wind. No fancy techniques, no martial arts forms, just raw caveman violence. Every swing was a killing blow because when you hit someone with the force of a small car, technique is optional. Let's just say things came apart. From there, like a spinning top, the surrounding Turks broke and scattered. Suddenly, screams erupted all over the wall. Officer Yin Liang appeared wielding twin hammers that each weighed over a 100-pound. Other martial artists were punching through armor, palm-striking guys into the next life, moving through crowds of Turks like hot knives through butter. Regular soldiers versus martial artists wasn't a contest. There was nothing left to fight. Then the wall underneath him shook. Something that made the stones crack under its weight. And swirling around his body, a faint glow of chi and blood energy. And not just any martial artist. He was staring directly at him, 10 feet tall, iron armor, head to toe, carrying a spiked club that weighed more than his entire squad combined. His brave little farmers snapped into position. Purdue didn't even look at them. Shields, armor, bones, everything, just flat. From there, XEO, his entire squad. Game over for 12 people. The pressure was worse than the first day's arrow storm, an actual hole in the wall. What the hell is this thing? From there, Martial Apprentice Peak Realm. Who was half a step from breaking through to the next major realm entirely. A literal tornado of wind followed his practice swings. From there, his back was soaked. His heartbeat was in his throat. Shen Li threw myself sideways. If that connects even once, Shen Li was restarting life from the character creation screen. Honestly, they were a relief compared to the walking earthquake in front of him. All Shen Li could do was dodge. Just dodging was using 100% of his energy. The instant they touched his club, couldn't lift them for several seconds. 98 out of 200. So, Shen Li did the only thing Shen Li could. Yes, keep rolling, little worm. Humiliating, absolutely. But alive is alive. Shen Li hadn't trained it at all. It's going up because Shen Li was fighting a martial artist. Suddenly, this wasn't a hopeless fight anymore. 10 more exchanges of pure survival. A warmth, a tiny flicker. Shen Li looked at him and did the universal come here finger gesture. His club was a blur. From there, his body was screaming, but that number kept climbing. The whole wall had turned into a martial arts tournament from hell. But then a stronger one locked onto him. Everyone was fighting someone above or below their weight class, and nobody could help anybody else, which meant nobody was coming to save him from the 10th. Every impact sent shock waves through his legs. But something funny was happening. Heavy armor, heavy weapon, heavy everything. Shen Li actually started feeling confident. Not Shen Li can win. Confident. The real problem was time. And somewhere behind him, Xiao was unconscious on the stone. Hordu caught his breath and came again. Shen Li slipped under his arm, sliding through the gap beneath his armpit like a cat through a fence. From there, that's it. A scratch. Without chi powering his strikes, Shen Li couldn't even dent this walking tank. 157 out of 200. His best attack was a mosquito bite to him. Blood leaked from the corner of his mouth. Then Shen Li smiled at him. From there, talent, swordsmanship, minor achievement. Technique 100 refinements learned. Body like iron, skin like bronze. Imagine someone poured molten metal through every vein in your body. Then the heat became power. From there, so this is chi, went wide as dinner plates. Yin Liang caught a glimpse mid-fight and nearly got his head taken off from distraction. From there, His brain probably short-circuited. Leadership jumped to 27, who recovered his composure fast. He gripped his club, planning to go all out and end this quickly, but Shen Li moved first. Now, the rabbit was sprinting straight at him with murder in its eyes. Clang, 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 clang. His chi started going haywire from the barrage. Wu looked down at himself. His supposedly invincible shell had been carved apart like wrapping paper on a birthday present. They'd been flipped, set on fire, and launched off the wall. Before chi, you're just a guy wearing the suit with no battery. Now imagine someone jams a nuclear reactor into the chest slot. Your skin turns into armor plating. Now, it's the most broken power-up Shen Li had ever experienced. That's why martial artists can fight a 100 soldiers alone. Shen Li was hacking at his armor from every angle, top, sides, back, gaps between the plates. 100 slashes in seconds. 100 refinements hit 52. You burn it when you fight. You either pop magical pills, which Shen Li don't have, or rest, which takes forever. If Shen Li had a proper weapon, this mountain of muscle would already be hamburger meat. Hood looked down at himself. This armor was half his fighting strategy. His fuel economy just got wrecked. Just tore it away with his bare hands, revealing a body that looked like someone had sculpted a gorilla out of concrete. Good news. No armor means lower defense. This dude was already terrifyingly strong. The spike club was a blur where before Shen Li could slip under his swings and counterattack. From there, the pressure doubled instantly. You shouldn't be allowed to be both. His old friend, mortal terror. Nobody wanted to be anywhere near two martial artists trying to murder each other. One mistake and Shen Li would earn the world record for shortest martial arts career ever. Shen Li had to go offensive. Everything around him slowed down. Shen Li grabbed fresh swords and went back to carving. From there, find the weak points. Each strike was a surgical attack on maximum damage zones. Every hit was draining him. Shen Li checked their fuel gauges mentally. He had way more chi than him because he was 3 whole levels above his realm. This fight had become something very simple. No tricks, no clever strategies, no system hacks, just two warriors bleeding energy, blade against club, speed against power on a wall surrounded by war. From there, his was dropping slower. But math has never met someone too stubborn to die. Once Ya Defender got his arm chopped clean off. That's fight as a combat technique. Regular soldiers were dying even faster. Shen Li was coughing blood. Half his body went numb instantly. Thank God for 100 refinements bronze skin defense. He was leaning on his club like a cane, one hand on his knee, trying not to collapse under his own massive weight. If he were a car, every warning light on the dashboard would be screaming. From there, here's the thing, though. Shen Li was still fast, still strong, still dangerous. And he was running out of blood faster than a broken faucet. From there, every swing was weaker. Smart. Because he knew if his chi hit 0 and Shen Li got close, his minor achievement swordsmanship would carve him up like a holiday turkey. Just a matter of time. Then Shen Li had a thought. A beautiful, elegant thought. Triple shot at close range against a guy with no chi shield and no armor. Shen Li started backing up slowly. The ground was so torn up from their fight that his feet scraped and stumbled over craters. He understood immediately, but he didn't move. Like a wounded animal that knows it's over. Shen Li could practically hear the arrows thewing into his chest already. From there, his breathing got faster. Then the freak did something that made his soul leave his body. Actual visible steam rising off his skin. His body was consuming itself, burning his own flesh and blood as fuel for one final attack. Every survival instinct Shen Li had screamed the same word. Danger. He launched himself at him like a human cannonball. At that range, his dead grandmother could have made those shots, let alone someone with minor achievement archery. His fist connected with his chest. Shen Li saw his previous life, too. His chest was literally dented inward. The only reason Shen Li survived was because Shen Li would recover just a tiny sliver of chi right before impact and hardened one small patch of his chest with 100 refinements. That arm was permanently finished, 3 arrows in his chest. His eyes were completely red, soaked in blood like a demon from a horror painting. From there, his arms wouldn't respond. The fact that Shen Li was still conscious was already a miracle, even walking like a half-dead corpse. Shen Li was going to die on this stupid wall. Shen Li Bro and Xiao crawled out of the corpse pile like the world's smallest, most bloodied zombie. He literally burned away his own flesh for that final attack. Couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything except blink and regret every life decision that led him here. Then Xiao crawled out of the body pile like the world's most terrifying baby chick hatching from the worst egg imaginable. Sometimes the universe has a really dark sense of humor. Shikai bro. Shen Li couldn't talk, could barely make a sound. From there, the message was simple. You're not even a martial artist. He understood exactly what Shen Li meant. The monster didn't dodge, didn't flinch, didn't even slow down, just kept walking forward with arrows sticking out of him like a horrifying decoration. Shen Li asked this thing. Shen Li just watched this 14-year-old kid stand between him and a literal blood demon, firing arrows into something that refused to stop existing. Still walking, still steaming, still terrifying. From there, his hands were trembling. Screaming, he swung at the thing's neck with every ounce of strength in his small body. He closed his eyes and waited to die. He'd cut it clean off. What was left wasn't even really a body anymore. Just a thin layer of blood-red skin stretched over bones like a deflated balloon shaped like a nightmare. That suicide technique had killed him the moment he used it. The scariest zombie in military history. That night, moonlight on the wall, everything silent. Both armies were too exhausted to make noise, too exhausted to exist. The only things Shen Li could move were his eyeballs. The military doctor had been examining his injuries earlier, and he kept sighing. Am Shen Li permanently crippled? Then Shen Li noticed he sighed at every patient the exact same way. Shen Li almost died of anxiety on top of dying of injuries. 100 refinement shot up to 377. Troop command only reached 97 though because half his squad died today. 50% survival rate in that Hell's Cape was basically a miracle. At this rate, without proper healing pills, Shen Li would be bettered in for a month minimum. Then the door opened and Yin Liang walked in. From there, still got one hand. Shen Li managed to croak out a thank you for his concern. He shook his head slowly. He almost tossed it to them out of habit, then caught himself, probably remembering the contents were worth more than all of their lives combined, and gently placed it on the table instead. The little porcelain bottle sitting on the table looked like something you'd find in a palace gift shop, not a blood-soaked army barracks. Shikai's arrow wound closed up overnight and Xiao's scratches vanished like they never existed. The premium DLC healing item. Some restore chi, some repair broken bodies, and the really crazy ones can even help you break through to higher cultivation levels. They were talking exists only in Legends, territory for grunts like them. From there, definitely popped something strong. The top military officer of the entire Yuzhou war zone, multiple ranks above Centurion. Then Yin Liang casually dropped the bomb. Martial arts has 9 major levels. 5th grade pills are what mid-tier martial artists dream about at night while hugging their pillows. The emperor himself gave these pills out as rewards. Yin Liang explained the backstory. The current emperor had ignored every advisor, mobilized the entire nation's military, and personally led them beyond the border to crush the newly unified Turk. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers died in foreign lands, becoming ghosts that would never find their way home. The empire lost so many soldiers and martial artists that it could never go on the offensive again. From there, great leadership, your majesty. 3 round, shiny, beautiful little spheres rolled into Xiao's palm. Then he scooped up all 3 pills and aimed them at his mouth. From there, one is enough. The man lost an arm without flinching, but nearly had a heart attack watching a teenager try to feed him 3 priceless imperial pills at once. He genuinely thought more medicine equals more healing. His heart was pure, even if his pharmaceutical knowledge was non-existent. Then his stomach caught fire, not metaphorical fire. From there, the burning spread everywhere. Shen Li croaked through his sandpaper throat. Every cell in his body sighed with relief. Then the coolness, then fire again. Obviously, he'd seen this before. Shen Li could feel his bones growing, his skin rebuilding, his muscles reinflating. When Shen Li finally calmed down, Yin Liang told him Shen Li would be fully recovered within 3 days. He also told him to keep the remaining 2 pills, 2 spare pills that could save lives on a battlefield where people die every hour. Thank you, sir. Shen Li managed to whisper. Then Yin Liang's expression shifted. They didn't exactly exchange business cards between him trying to cave his skull in and him dodge rolling across the wall like a panicked hedgehog. Yan Liang continued, his voice measured and deliberate. Oh, So that walking natural disaster who nearly ended his career, his life, and his entire bloodline in one punch was basically the left king's strongest officer, and Shen Li killed him. Yin Liang corrected him calmly. Shen Li didn't kill just any legendary warrior. Shen Li had zero idea he was famous. Yin Liang stared out the window, his remaining arm resting on the table, and started telling them about Hu's history. Shen Li fought him personally. Apparently, the Turks have a creepy technique called the blood-burning art. He set his own body on fire from the inside to throw that final punch. So that's why he kept walking with 3 arrows in his chest. The creepiest, most terrifying candle in military history. He was genuinely, deeply, bone-level shocked. And honestly, Shen Li couldn't blame him. Shen Li was at the absolute basement level of cultivation. From there, and everyone saw it. The real answer was his cheat system, obviously. But Shen Li couldn't exactly explain that. And without Xiao's miracle decapitation at the end, Shen Li would be an even redder stain. His title made him cocky. Perhaps true prodigies really do exist in this world. Yinlong murmured to himself, which was flattering but also slightly ominous. From there, his ears perked up. There are no soldiers left to give you. They'd lost 4,000 defenders in 48 hours. But the entire border was on fire simultaneously. Every fortress along the entire border was screaming for help. But the emperor, the same genius who got his entire army destroyed at Bone Burial Valley and then retired to his palace to meditate and pretend the world didn't. Shen Li was promoting you to banner captain under his command. Banner captain, 1 rank below centurion. Him, Shikai, Xiao, and 5 surviving farmers. Honestly though, Shen Li didn't care about the title. None of it mattered if you didn't have people to lead or a city to stand on. His promotion meant they automatically became his sub-officers. The glow-up was real. Yan Liang stood to leave, then paused. From there, you're on reserve duty. After he left, the room got quiet. 6,000 defenders. No reinforcements coming. Even a reincarnated god of war can't win when the math simply doesn't work. The odds were absolutely, catastrophically, hilariously terrible. From there, day 1 was brutal. The moment their battered 6,000 defenders finally got steamrolled into history. Tomorrow they'd die with the city and they'd made peace with it. No formations, no drums, no screaming cavalry charging out of the morning mist, just tents and silence, and the occasional horse sneezing in the distance. Not a single Turk showed his face. What kind of trick is this? Those savages don't know the first thing about military tactics. By evening, they finally accepted it. The city practically on its knees. The garrison commander wasn't taking any chances, though. But the night was dead quiet. The whole city held its breath under the moonlight. What are these morons doing? Something big happened back on the grasslands. Something that's got their attention more than them. Both armies just sat there staring at each other across the field like the world's most awkward blind date. Not knowing is worse than fighting. But the commanders used every second wisely. New conscripts getting crash courses and not dying. This was still a battlefield, and the enemy was still right there. The man was moving like he'd never been hurt. Yin Liang was personally drilling them during these quiet days, cramming as much combat technique into their skulls as possible. Not because Shen Li was still injured. Shen Li literally scared Xiao and Shikai awake by standing up and stretching like nothing had happened. Didn't believe him when Shen Li said Shen Li felt fine. When Shen Li finally unwrapped his bandages, and the boys saw fresh new muscle where there used to be hamburger meat, their jaws dropped so hard Shen Li heard them click, getting summoned by the brass. What do you think they want with Shen Li, bro? From there, Xiao pouted, then mumbled. Since nobody's fighting, can't they go visit? Xiao sulked and went back to poking the air with his spear like a sad little warrior. Xiao coughed through the dust cloud. The kid's eyes went supernova. His hidden cavalry commander talent was practically vibrating. Pure love at first sight. From there, asked the real question. Both of them looked at him like Shen Li would spoke in an alien language. Sharkai and Xiao heard going home and their brains split into 2 completely different reactions. The look on Shikai's face was priceless. Somewhere between embarrassed and annoyed that reality had made him look like a jerk. They swung by the barracks, grabbed their stuff, and collected his 5 surviving farmer soldiers. They'd been through absolute hell. Wait until the wife sees this energy radiating off them. They slipped out of Yo and hit the road fast. His assessment, the Turks stopping their attack meant something huge had happened back on the grasslands. Whatever it was, they probably wouldn't assault the city again immediately, but probably doesn't win wars. So, the commander issued emergency orders. Grab criminals, grab actual bandits from the mountains. Yin Yang immediately thought of them. The whole village is basically a military academy disguised as a farming community. From there, Five Guys was pathetic. Xiao immediately spotted the flaw in his plan. You literally cannot find them. It's practically their village sport. They walked straight into a patrol coming down from a hunt. 20 people in the middle of a losing war. The phrase good men don't become soldiers existed for a reason in this world. But Shen Li had confidence. They convinced them with logic, tempt them with rewards, whatever works. They asked how high stage of loyalty. The trail was bumpy, muddy, and surrounded by increasingly dense forest. They left as scared farmers. Wow! And interrupted their sentimental moment. Several large wooden barrels sat on top. Shi Kai, Xiao, and Shen Li exchanged one quick look. The old man showed zero surprise at 8 strangers appearing on a remote forest road. Shi Kai fed him a cover story about being merchants looking to buy animal pelts. The smell of homemade wine hit them like a fragrant wall. Except Shi Kai reached under the cart. The old man's eyes went wide. Dangerous times. Just for self-defense. From there, the wine is bait. Dozens of armed men emerged from the trees on every side. The oldest trick in the book. The bandits popped out of the trees like angry mushrooms. His guys didn't even flinch. Even the horse had seen worse. These boys had learned well. Turks invading, bandits everywhere, total chaos across the countryside. From there, that's not a merchant. Those barrels were definitely spiked with knockout drugs. From there, Chapter 1, Page 1. The bandits' Plan A crumbled, so they went with Plan B. Big guy, wild beard, carrying a fancy battle axe. The sound hit like a physical force. The boss bandit's swagger evaporated instantly. His eyes darted around their group, probably wondering if the others were martial artists. 2. By the way, his body was basically fully healed thanks to the Imperial pill. These bandits had picked the absolute worst possible day to mess with him. Then their vision started rotating weirdly because their heads were no longer attached to their bodies and were tumbling into the grass. His squad had fought the most dangerous army on the continent for 2 straight days. He bolted toward the tree line at full sprint. He dropped face first into the dirt before he finished falling. Shen Li rapid-fired over a dozen arrows into the trees. Shen Li thundered with chi amplification. He took exactly 1 sneaky step. The remaining 15-ish bandits collectively decided that living was better than running. From there, Great King, spare them. Shen Li would come here to recruit 20 soldiers for the army, and fate had just handed him 15 warm bodies before Shen Li even reached the village. They're coming to Yo with them, Shen Li ordered. His troop command talent would ensure they'd follow orders once properly enrolled. Xiao complained about bandits getting bolder, operating so close to the main road. Then they arrived at the village and his stomach dropped. Not a single farmer anywhere. Recently, where Shen Li asked everybody. Let's go see, Shen Li said, leading the group toward the makeshift walls. A warning shot from the top of the wall. Not a Turk arrow. Not a bandit arrow. What the heck is happening? Xiao yelled, waving his blade around like an angry windmill. Warm neighbors. Open doors. Free food everywhere. Then 2 voices drifted over the wall. 2 teenagers were arguing behind the barricade like confused parrots. Is that you 2 little punks? Twin brothers practically identical, both carrying hunting bows. The wooden gate lifted and the twins came sprinting out, grinning like idiots. From there, Jean Liao looked sheepish. From a distance, they thought you were bandits. The casual farmer slouch was gone, replaced by the coiled alertness of people who'd killed and nearly been killed. The twins explained that mountain bandits had been raiding more aggressively lately. The peaceful paradise of his memories had turned into a tiny, frightened fortress. Inside, the village looked the same. Every household had someone peeking out their door with weapons ready. Everyone was wound tighter than a crossbow string. From there, his baby is home. Now, here was Xiao, alive, armored, and apparently an actual military officer. Hey, Dad. Shen Li was back. Those government dogs better not have mistreated you. Shen Li commanded dozens of soldiers. Then he performed the fastest opinion reversal in human history. From there, what a wonderful institution. The Zhang twins grabbed Xiao's ID tag and started examining it like jewelers appraising a diamond. Xiao snapped, which was honestly the most devastating cell phone Shen Li would witnessed in 2 lifetimes. The kind of cough that makes an entire crowd shut up. This man ran Qingxi village with an iron fist wrapped in a grandfatherly glove. His tone was mild, but underneath it was steel reinforcement. Xiao opened his mouth, realized he had no idea how to explain anything diplomatically, and turned to him with desperate eyes. From there, understatement of the century. Oh, the Shinboy chiefly Shen Li bro is a banner captain now. The orphan hunter's son who everyone kind of pitted now suddenly outranking everyone here. Oh, and what wisdom does the esteemed banner captain wish to share with them humble villagers? Chiefly, they were here to recruit volunteer soldiers to help defend Yuzhou City. Chief Li's face turned the color of a thundercloud. Get out of this village. Over his dead body, Shen Li stood perfectly still. From there, let's talk this out. His final words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Everyone go home, rest, eat. Old man Wang grabbed Xiao's arm with a beaming smile. At least Turks didn't guilt-trip you with grandpa energy. There was nobody waiting for him there. A scrawny kid everyone felt sorry for. Shen Li carried a bundle from the horse's saddlebag. Yanlong had personally handed him the list before they left. So, Shen Li went door to door, house after house. People who used to ruffle his hair were suddenly calling him sir without meaning to. The crying started at the first house and never really stopped. Children who'd grow up without fathers. Pity the bones beside the nameless river. Describing this life with surgical precision, Shen Li walked into his house. Nothing had changed except there was more dust. Shen Li was scourging around for something to eat when Xiao's voice exploded outside like a small bomb. His sister made flatbread, still warm. Shen Li demolished 7 or 8 pieces before his hand slowed down. His sister's the best cook. He laughed and scratched his head like the lovable idiot he was. From there, so, what about recruiting? If he won't agree, nobody in this village will dare join them. His word was law here. Xiao's eyes lit up as a phrase slowly surfaced from deep storage in his brain. Let's go talk to him right now, Shen Li said. The door flew open again. Listen, his dad sent him. Xiao slapped his hands together. Walking through the village at night was surreal. Guard dogs barked from various corners. Shikai, Shen Li asked as they walked. But there's something more urgent. Multiple villages in Qingxi County have already been hit. It all pointed to one thing. Xiao cracked his knuckles with a murderous grin. They reached Chief Li's house. They entered and found the village power structure assembled. Chief Li sat at the head, white-haired and scowling, flanked by several important village men, including Shikai's father, uncle. Everyone went quiet as they sat down. Shinboy, Shikai's kid here tells him you killed several hundred Turks. Wait. They were not talking about recruiting? He gave him a subtle nod. Shen Li owed him approximately 14 beers and a lifetime of gratitude. From there, classic humble brag set up. It's closer to 200. Honestly. They thought Shen Li was mocking them. Shen Li saw everything with his own eyes. Not exactly a compelling witness. How many wolves could you possibly kill? His son says you can draw a 1-stone bow and shoot ambidextrously. Kill counts can be exaggerated. Either you hit the target or you miss. The boy was famously honest and his archery reputation was untouchable. 1 stone was actually laughable for him now. Uncle sure turned to his son. Bring their training bow. From there, this was actually perfect. The room went silent while they waited. If his archery was fake, this entire conversation was over. Uncle sure took it and handed it to him, heavy enough that most hunters struggle with it. Internally, Shen Li almost laughed. The kind of thing that made grown hunters grunt and strain. His current strength could handle twice this draw weight without breaking a sweat. The old man cupped his ear. Not enough to reveal his martial artist status overtly, just enough to make an impression. 1 second, Shen Li was a farm boy sitting politely in a chair. The transformation was so dramatic that the candle light itself started flickering from the pressure radiating off his body. Chief Li's mouth opened, but absolutely nothing came out. They'd seen this show 100 times. Shen Li could have drawn this bow with his pinky finger while yawning, but Shen Li needed these people to believe. The bow groaned and vibrated like it was screaming for mercy. The bow string would snap and whip someone's face off. Shen Li held the full draw for 3 dramatic seconds, then released the tension with the gentleness of laying a sleeping baby in a crib. Chief Li nearly fell out of his chair, waving his arms. Xiao and Shikai were physically trembling from suppressed laughter, pinching their own thighs so hard they'd have bruises tomorrow. He'd heard from his own son that his archery surpassed Shikai, and he'd been skeptical, But Shen Li was something else entirely, something he couldn't even classify. It was art approaching the divine. And he just watched a teenage orphan display it in a cramped living room while trying not to destroy the furniture. But Shen Li could see the new question forming behind every pair of wide eyes in that room. After his little bow demonstration nearly gave everyone a cardiac event, Shen Li smoothly pivoted to explaining their actual mission. They were border soldiers recruiting volunteers to defend Yunha and by extension everyone's homes. The grumpy gatekeeper transformed into a proud grandpa right before their eyes. Uncle sure got serious fast. The three of them deflated simultaneously. Fewer than 7,000 defenders remaining. Every elder in the room sucked air through their teeth like they'd touched a hot stove. Parents literally used Turks as boogeymen to scare crying babies into silence. That kind of deep generational terror doesn't need explanation. Shen Li thought half the empire would burn under Turk hooves. If Yuzhou disappears, their tiny village has zero chance of protecting itself. The elders couldn't dismiss him as just a child anymore, even if he still occasionally stuck his tongue out at people. Eggs can't survive when the nest falls. It's the bandits, isn't it? They hit Neo family village 2 days ago. From there, and there it was. Asking them to send their men away to fight Turks while raiders were about to attack their families was like asking someone to fix the roof while the house was actively on fire. That's not the kind of army Shen Li wanted. Shen Li started asking tactical questions. How many come on raids? Black Cloud Stronghold has roughly 500 men. One fighting man per household gives them approximately 140 militia. They can field 40 archers. For a tiny mountain village that had already been raided for conscripts multiple times, that was actually impressive. Shen Li asked for a map. Everyone crowded around the table as he unrolled it. The northern approach was gentle sloping terrain, perfect for mounted riders to charge straight at them. They could probe the north gate, and if it was heavily defended, simply ride around to the weaker south gate in minutes. The numbers became razor-thin. The village had only one competent commander, Uncle Sure. Uncle Sure takes one gate. Shen Li take the other. Uncle Sure asked the obvious question. How many men do you need there? From there, the room went silent. This was the did he just say something incredibly stupid silence. Uncle Sure stared at him. The other elders stared at him. Shen Li said just him. One person, North Gate. Look. Shen Li understood their confusion. They hadn't watched him delete hundreds of Turk soldiers. From there, that wasn't a threat. From there, one man, North Gate, alone. Even the best archer needs backup. Shen Li shook his head. The one that says, Shen Li was your commanding officer. And honestly, Shen Li was kind of enjoying watching the confusion spread across the room like a slow-moving fog. Shikai, take 40 militia and patrol the village walls. That man was a rock, a beautiful, reliable, emotionally stable rock. The kid had been watching assignments get handed out like candy at a festival, and his name hadn't been called yet. Then Shen Li dropped the bomb. Every tactical instinct screamed that during a defense, you put people inside the thing you're defending. What do trees have to do with bandits? Xiao's confusion had reached a level where his face looked like a crumpled piece of paper. His eyes exploded open like two tiny suns. The genius cavalry commander brain finally woke up from its nap. Step 1. Shen Li hold the north gate alone and make the bandits think they were weak everywhere else. Step 4. The beautiful part. They kill them, take the horses, and suddenly they have cavalry. From there, Chief Li immediately objected. If they kill 100 bandits and steal their horses, the remaining 400 will come for revenge. Sure, Kai said with the casual certainty of someone ordering lunch. Shen Li backed Shikai up. They'll come back again and again. Their village fields 140 fighters. That gives them roughly 300 versus 400. Shikai launched into a furious monologue about dignity and manhood. Hunters can't hunt without their permission. Not to be outdone, Xiao delivered what might be the greatest battle cry in village council history. The idiom he was trying to use was what's tolerable and what's not. The elders were visibly cracking. Sometimes the best leadership is knowing when to step back and let your crazy subordinates scream at old people until the old people agree. This conversation had evolved way beyond what anyone anticipated when they sat down. The scope had ballooned from protecting one village to liberating an entire county. Even with his abilities, even with Qing Shi's legendary archers, even with stolen horses, the numbers weren't comfortable. But math doesn't account for a guy with a cheat system, a teenage cavalry prodigy, and a village full of hunters who kill bears for weekend entertainment. This man had clearly never been in an actual fight. Strategy, terrain, timing. Sun Tzu literally wrote a whole book about this. He could tell you exactly how many chickens every household owned, but couldn't figure out how to deploy 12 men on a hill. From there, Chief Li was wavering. Shen Li went for the kill shot. From there, your village can't breathe. Qingxi village was paradise because of its mountain. The mountain was literally the village's lifeline, and these bandit parasites had choked it shut. A few more years of this, and Qingyi won't have any hunters left. The hot-blooded hunter who never backed down from wolves or bears or anything else the mountain threw at him. They do it Shen Li's way. Men sharpened weapons and strung bows while women cooked breakfast and packed rations. These people had been living under bandit oppression for years, and today they were finally hitting back. The gentle slope beyond the wall stretched toward the mountain, wide and open. Xiao appeared with raccoon-level dark circles under his eyes, but the energy of someone who'd mainlined 17 cups of coffee. Trees are hidden in the forest along the retreat road. Don't move until the bandits retreat. He grabbed his men and vanished through the gate like an enthusiastic ghost. Still hot from the kitchen. But this girl was something else entirely. From there, be careful, little tiger. You think some mountain hobos are going to be a problem? Xiao stuffed 2 cornbreads into his hands before charging off with his squad. Uncle Shi and Shi Kai arrived shortly after with their respective units. They nodded, and everyone dispersed to their positions. And then the north gate was empty. The problem with company was that these two were walking question factories. Shen Li couldn't help laughing. They eat food when hungry and scream when you stab them, just like them. From there, what's a martial artist? From there, can you teach them? They followed his gaze to the hilltop beyond the gate. Then the entire hilltop was covered in dark shapes, spilling over the crest like ink spreading across paper. The Zhang twins' pupils shrank to pinpoints. The bandits came pouring over the hilltop like a dirty avalanche. Shen Li sent the Zhang twins off as messengers. 70, 80, 120, 170, 170 bandits total. His eyes practically turned into heart shapes. The mounted bandits arrived first, thundering up to the village perimeter. The bandits stopped at arrow range. Well, this is suspicious, one of his lackeys muttered. If this were his village, Shen Li would have 50 archers hidden on that wall, ready to turn anyone who got close into Swiss cheese. But these peasants clearly pissed their pants the second. Their scout, a weasel-faced little rat called Six, sprinted to the wall, hopped the trench, spat on his palms for grip, and scrambled up like a cockroach climbing a drain pipe. Then his face popped up right in front of his Ichi. There. His whole body seized up, his fingers released the wall, and he dropped straight down into the spiked trench below with a scream and an extremely unpleasant crunching sound. They knocked arrows, aimed, and thwack dropped both runners cleanly. 3 guys dead in 3 seconds, and they hadn't even gotten inside yet. From there, 3 people, just 3. Was this an ambush or a joke? He sent a dozen more scouts forward, shields raised, creeping toward the wall in a nervous little formation like armored turtles. Just raised it wide open. From there, their brains collectively blue-creamed. From there, is this a trap? These farmers think they can pull a Zhuang on him. And even if you had, you read them wrong. He ordered the full charge. The Zhang twins were sweating bullets beside him. Shen Li just held up his hand. Shen Li could smell the animals and the unwashed humans riding them. Within a few breaths, Shen Li would launch dozens of arrows into the charging mass of bandits. The Oxhorn Bow's power at this range was devastating. The Zhang twins peeked over the wall. Kill anyone who slips through. Their riderless horses milled around in confusion, blocking the path of the bandits behind them. These bandits were worth almost nothing in experience. Shen Li was counting horses, and every horse brought Xiao one step closer to becoming the cavalry commander he was born to be. His arrows deleted the first 15 riders so fast that the only witnesses were already dead. The next second those buddies were doing involuntary dismounts at lethal velocity. Bodies scattered across the dirt like discarded laundry. The two groups slammed into each other like a traffic accident made of horses and stupidity. By the time they finally sorted out which direction away was, they'd left 30-some corpses and a beautiful collection of riderless horses milling around outside his gate. Going home empty-handed meant losing his position, maybe his head. Let's go around to the other gate. Shen Li, bro. When you opened that gate earlier, Shen Li nearly died of fear. Shen Li told him to wait. Meanwhile, at the south gate, Uncle Sher was crouched behind the wall with 40 archers breathing so quietly you'd think they were all meditating. Dozens of riders flew toward the south gate. They wanted to destroy something, anything to salvage their bruised pride. 40 hunting bows sang simultaneously. The second-in-command literally lost his helmet. Where do these archers keep coming from? You tried to rob the archery village. Uncle Sher had 20 militia waiting at the top with long spears and pitchforks. 2 attacks, 70 casualties total. Boss, these guys are serious. Pride had completely replaced his brain. From there, everyone off your horses. A few agile bandits scrambled up the wall. Shai Kai only had 40 guys, and 100 bandits represented serious numerical pressure. From there, Shikai didn't flinch, and his sheer psychotic energy actually made several of them hesitate. He'd already sent a runner to him. 40 arrows turned the bandits surrounding Shikai into a very brief modern art installation. None of this is his. The second-in-command finally swallowed his pride and ordered retreat. Impossible to ride through. Impossible to move quickly. Hey, grandchildren, your grandpa's been waiting. The look on the second-in-command's face at that exact moment was something Shen Li would pay actual money to see painted and framed on his wall. Trapped between the village behind them. Every piece fell exactly where it needed to be, and Xiao's ambush sealed the coffin. The sound alone nearly gave the remaining bandits heart attacks. These bandits were already broken. Their swagger had been surgically removed and replaced with pure animal panic. Riders couldn't push through it. The village militia swarmed them like angry bees defending a hive. Some bandits managed to ditch their horses and disappear into the forest. The second-in-command died somewhere in the chaos. By the time Shikai and Shen Li arrived with reinforcements, it was basically cleanup duty. Every horse got the same loving inspection. He spotted them approaching and flashed that blood-smeared grin of his. 3 village boys covered in other people's blood, laughing like idiots because they just pulled off a perfect military operation against a force that outnumbered them. 170 bandits walked in. About 20 crawled out. And the miracle, not a single villager died. From there, that's a statistical anomaly. From there, arrow proficiency barely moved. But his troop command proficiency had jumped to 158 out of 300. Breakthrough to the next level was genuinely within reach. In a world where cavalry was the ultimate military advantage, where the Turks dominated precisely because they had horses and they didn't, his cavalry commander talent was practically glowing. Shen Li was having them burned. Stolen loot from previous raids. That night, the village council reconvened at Chief Li's house. Today's results had settled every debate permanently. When their boss heard what happened to his raiding party, he'd either come for revenge or fortify his mountain. Scholar Lu had already sent messengers to Neo family village and Li family settlement that afternoon, sharing news of their victory and inviting them to join forces for a final assault on the stronghold. Nothing motivates oppressed people like hearing their oppressor. Uncle Sher said the hunters from Yo family village were his old friends who'd been suffering under bandit tyranny for years and would likely jump at the chance for payback. And Shen Li still need to get back to Yuzhou. Today had proven his judgment was sound, his plans worked, and his abilities were real. Before anyone even appeared in the doorway, a voice boomed from the courtyard with zero diplomatic preamble. A fired-up man burst into the room, practically vibrating with fury and excitement. The other villages had been waiting for anyone to finally stand up and say enough. 3 villages united, ready for war. A man with a voice like a foghorn stomped into the room, radiating so much aggressive energy, Shen Li almost checked him for key. Just tell him and Shen Li was there. Behind him came a representative from Li family settlement, a relative of Chief Li's. Their villages had been robbed, humiliated, and terrorized. His village had fought desperately and barely killed 10 bandits. If you don't believe him, Chief Li said smugly. Not only did Qingxi kill their men, they stole their horses. Between them, roughly 200 militia. Scholar Lu's favorite complaint was still technically valid. Shen Li take those odds gladly. Shen Li was not letting some kid who still smells like milk lead 3 villages into battle. Uncle Sher vouched for him. The man was as stubborn as his namesake animal. Throw him down and he wins the argument. Probably the strongest pure human in 3 villages. Shen Li threw him again. From there, he was getting dizzy. When Shen Li finally set him down, the man was pale, wobbly, and completely, utterly, permanently convinced. Nobody questioned his authority again. Meeting point, south side of Little Lord Mountain Dawn, 2 days from now. They had been away from Yuzhou for 3 days already. From there, had they attacked again? Shen Li needed to finish this bandit business and get back fast. Some of these men wouldn't be coming home. From there, painful, necessary, unavoidable math. The boy had a future in either military command or competitive screaming. Behind them, a 100-plus infantry marched on foot. He galloped to the front of the column, then to the back, then to the front again, then sideways for some reason. Shikai and Shen Li exchanged a look that said, "Future genius cavalry commander." Before dawn, Qingxi's fighters gathered while their families watched in silence. Every man understood that leaving Black Cloud alive guaranteed another raid. Shen Li mounted at the front, carrying Yuzhou's lessons back into the mountains. Shikai rode beside him, while Xiao bounced excitedly along the forming column. Their combined militia was smaller than the stronghold's remaining force. Yet the bandits had lost men, horses, confidence, and the safety of surprise. 3 villages now moved together because Qingxi had proved resistance was possible. The orphan once handed a broken bow now commanded hundreds protecting their homes. He had gained power through killing, but protection gave that power its purpose. Shen Li led the united villages forward, no longer prey to any army or stronghold.